Welcome back to the Spa Business Mastery podcast. I am so glad you're here, dear spa owner. And today on our podcast, we have a guest with us, and I'm so excited because it's another like-minded entrepreneur who is way into numerology and spirituality when it comes to our businesses. I would like to introduce to you Marie McKenzie, and her business is all about conscious leadership. And so Anne-Marie, you describe yourself as a soulful business strategist, and may we say even a psychic business strategist?
Yes. Yes, I am leaning into that.
So glad you are, because you really
Yeah.
do have a wonderful gift and a wonderful approach to business. So how I know Anne-Marie is through the numerology community. So when I took my numerology certification through Megan Alton, I got the absolute pleasure of meeting Anne-Marie. And I'm now also in her conscious business leader collective. That's what you call it, right?
Mhm.
That we meet monthly, and we have these awesome, amazing, juicy, heart led conversations about our businesses, and we're all kind of different businesses, and really weaving numerology and spirituality into that. So I just love being in your group. It really fills me up like the whole month. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
So how did you find yourself in this role?
Oh, I would like to say that it was 100% intentional, but it was not. There was some divine intervention, I think, that happened in order to help me remember who I am and to fulfill my own purpose in this lifetime. I started really working in the realm of heart intelligence and emotional intelligence and supporting people to weave feminine energetics into their lives and into business in 2015. And I was hosting workshops and retreats, and I was working with a wide variety of clientele. I was going into nonprofits and corporations and businesses and working with just women and working with men and working with couples and youth, because at the time I really felt just so empowered because I finally understood emotional intelligence. I finally understood my heart and the language of our soul. And so I wanted to shout it from the rooftops and tell everybody. My biggest experiences though, like where I really lit up and felt pure joy, was with fellow entrepreneurs, because we truly are the ones that are interested in doing the work, and most importantly, doing the work so that way we can have a really big impact in the world, that we can contribute to the collective consciousness in very meaningful ways. Very, I guess, truthfully, it's because I don't have to convince spiritual entrepreneurs that heart intelligence is important and that being a heart conscious leader is important. I was really tired. At the time when I first started, I was building my business and I still had a full time job. And it's exhausting when you have to try to convince people. And so the entrepreneurial realm is, again, what really lit me up. And so I kept moving in that direction and seeing huge glimpses of success of what my future could look like. So, one of the first offerings that I created was supporting businesses to build a plan or a soulful strategy, but to weave the intelligence of their heart in it. I've built several businesses of my own in this lifetime. I have supported 6, 7 figure businesses to cross those mile markers. And that was the missing piece. It was always the missing piece. It was just very masculine. I never want to talk about KPIs, key performance indicators, ever again. Or when I do, it's coming from this beautiful conscious place of our heart and coming back to what's important. And that's, are we feeling how we want to feel? Do our clients feel how we intend for them to feel? Our friends, our family, our community, like, are we having that big impact in the world? And also, are we an embodiment of the values that are important to us?
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think it's so, like, I remember actually in around actually 2015 feeling that there was something missing from what I was learning in terms of, the coaching that I was getting, the coaching that I was consuming online as
Mm-hmm.
well. And I just felt I couldn't put a finger on it, but I felt like it needed to be more intuitive or more feminine. And I didn't really have the languaging at that time to
Mm-hmm.
really explain what I was looking for. And it's now, over a few years, and that, the term of like that, kind of heart conscious leadership finally has emerged. And that was really what I was looking for, something that, it wasn't so much tactical, practical,
Yeah.
go achieve, that very kind of masculine kind of
Yeah.
framework of business. It was just feeling like it was leaving me kind of, there must be more. And I think
Mm-hmm.
for the spa industry, there's so many of us in it that we did not get into this business to make a lot of money. Like, it's a difficult industry to make really great money at. So
Mm-hmm.
you really, really have to have that passionate heart led piece of like, I want to change how my community is. I'm going to help people in my community
Mm-hmm.
in a really big, impactful way. So I really love that, people like you, and being in your group and around you and kind of just listening to you keeps fulfilling that aspect, that kind of feminine leadership aspect that is very much more heart-based and heart-led. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
so glad that you have chosen that road, because it felt like a missing piece for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I really appreciate that the work that you do, and I think it's such a great fit for the spa industry to be
Yeah.
hearing how to lead with your heart in a way
Mm-hmm.
that actually can make you money as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Thank you for that.
it's not an either or
No.
situation, and diving into these kind of heart consciousness types of leadership gives us those
Mm-hmm.
opportunities to feel like we're fulfilled in our career as well as we're doing the work we really want to do and we're able to support ourselves.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. I was seeing that in the nonprofit world as well. I've dipped in and out of nonprofits throughout my career, and I found it just so ironic. Like we're literally a group of people here to help and serve. We're the ones with the big heart energy,
Mhm.
and yet this pyramid that's created in the nonprofit, the hierarchy of it, there was nothing that was heart conscious about it at all.
No.
Every single year, the people that were supposed to be my leaders would send me this email and say, okay, like, what are your goals for this year? And eventually at the end, I just said, just fucking do it yourself. Like, it literally got to this point, and sorry for like being so blunt, but I'm like, you're asking me this question. I'm going to tell you what it looks like based on the resources that I have and based on the quality that I want to infuse into the work that I'm doing with my team and within the community. And you're just going to argue it. You're going to disagree with it. You're going to go have a secret meeting without me, even though it's my community and I'm the director of this area. And you're going to send me some numbers that are completely unrealistic with the resources that I have because you took some money from somebody and you made them a promise that we actually can't keep.
Mhm.
There's nothing heart conscious about it at
Yeah.
all. So eventually I'm just like, I'm not getting paid for this. It's not even on my job description. And
Mhm.
so I started learning boundaries. And to be truthful, back then I wasn't good at it in the sense like I was good at setting boundaries, but I wasn't good at doing it in kinder, caring, or compassionate ways or empathetic ways because I was just so fed up.
Yeah,
I'm just
and
so
I think
done.
that's so relatable of like, particularly for people like us who are very have like that real caring energy to put out into the world and are very empathic, and we just keep giving and giving and giving and often past
Mm-hmm.
our boundaries, and then feeling resentful for
Yeah.
it because we weren't able to connect the dots of that kind of heart conscious leadership and being
Mm-hmm.
true to ourselves and kind of what we see for with our goals in our business and our
Mm-hmm.
communities.
Mm-hmm.
And yet it's there's that disconnect.
Yeah.
So and that's like incredibly frustrating, and it can often lead us down a path of feeling like, is this, maybe I need to change careers.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that is the case, but I know in the spa industry, a lot of times it's not so much about needing to change careers. It's about finding a different way to lead in your business, finding a different way to feel in your business,
Mm-hmm.
which then prompts a whole other way of how it could work in a way that
Yeah.
feels good. It doesn't have to feel like the constant grind of it.
Mm-hmm.
This very
Absolutely.
masculine style of
Mm-hmm.
leadership that we see in like nonprofits, in government, in corporate. That's just, it's how it's built, and it's almost too
Mm-hmm.
much to ask them in some ways or too much to expect.
Mm-hmm.
Those are usually such big machines of
Mm-hmm.
structure and systems. It's hard to break through into those heart,
Mm-hmm.
conscious types of leadership. But I know for entrepreneurs, there's so much more flexibility for us to do that.
Mm-hmm. There really is. There really is.
So what is, like, as far as heart conscious leadership, what does that look like? I
Mm-hmm.
think we've kind of dabbled a little bit talking about what that looks like, but what does that look like? What does that mean as far as
Mm-hmm.
an entrepreneur?
Everything is energy, and energetics matters because we are always emitting a vibration or a frequency, and that vibration or a frequency dictates what we attract into our world. As humans, we have an electromagnetic field, just like everything, and the largest component of our electromagnetic field is that of the heart.
Mhm.
I saw a post, Dr. Joe Dispenza described the intelligence of the heart as having an energy that's 5,000 times stronger than that of our mind. And so when we learn to rebuild that heart mind connection and we use the heart as a compass, then we are accessing, we're making it easier on ourselves, really,
Yeah.
is what we're doing. Like, we're creating a heck of a lot more momentum because we're connecting it to the heart. And all of this is the language of the universe. The universe speaks in a lot of different languages, but speaks in energy. And so this is one way to tap into the language of the universe and learning how to communicate with the universe and learning how to really
Okay.
connect with our soul.
Yeah,
And
and to co-create with the universe.
exactly, exactly. And so to simplify it in my world, I invite my soulmate clients to figure out what their heart compass is, which is literally, how do you want to feel? How do you want your clients to feel? And then how do you want, like, the community and the world that you're impacting to feel because of this? So it's not just about me, it's I am, you are, we are. And we do this a lot, right? In Conscious
Yeah.
Business Collective, when we talk about our aligning thoughts and our mantras and in our prayers, it's not just me, it's I am, you are, we are. And it allows us to be really purposeful and intentional in everything that we do. Before this call, I did the usual: make sure I have something to drink, make sure I go pee, make sure I have something to eat, review what we're going to talk about. But then there's this opportunity for us to, like, take a deep breath, connect to the cosmos, connect to our heart, and set that intention for the container that we're creating.
Mhm.
I have my own personal energetics that I'm bringing in. My heart compass is always luminously rooted in abundance, deep, authentic, creative connections, and kind of a big deal. Always. And so that's what I'm here to do, is to support people to feel luminously rooted in abundance, deep, authentic, creative connections, and like they are kind of a big deal.
Mhm.
And that's powerful. That's the marker that we should be looking at in terms of our results, before numbers,
Mhm.
before those KPIs. Like, it's the end all and be all in my world. Whether
Mhm.
you are working with one person or whether you're working with hundreds of thousands of people, did I support them to feel like they're kind of a big deal? And if I'm making them feel like a kind of a big deal, well, then they're probably going to instill that into other people that are within their sphere, and that raises the vibration of the collective consciousness.
Well, I feel like that heart consciousness is in a way its own KPI.
Yeah.
It's the flag.
Mm-hmm.
How you're feeling is the flag in the play for where you're at. And,
Mm-hmm.
I think because most spa owners are, we're so, um, so much of our energy is about client care, is we can lose our own care and our own heart in it. We're so busy thinking about
Mm-hmm.
other people. And if you have a team, then you've got like all these other people you're trying to think about and,
Yeah.
take care of. So, having this intentionality of, kind of this heart conscious leadership is your KPI for like, where do I
Yeah.
stand in terms of where I'm at in my business and like the passion of my business, kind of where I want to go. Am I happy in it?
Mm-hmm.
Am I still serving in a way that feels good to me and it feels good to my
Mm-hmm.
client and gets those client outcomes?
Mm-hmm. It really is a reverse engineering. It doesn't mean that we don't set goals like how much money we want to make or how many clients we want to serve or how many people in our emails. Notice that all of those are numbers, right? Or, how many partnerships we want to create. It just means that we're first focusing on the intelligence of the heart.
Mhm.
And then
And then
the soulful,
letting that lead.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, okay, if this is the end all be all, like if this is really truly what it is we're seeking, then what does it look like? What strategy are we going to roll out that's going to consistently support us to feel like we are creating deep, authentic, creative connections?
Hmm.
What does that look like? And building out from that place. And then anytime a project, a launch campaign, a new client comes in, and it doesn't feel like that, that's strengthening our intuition to pause, pump the brakes, hold, have deeper conversations, reevaluate, to on it. For me, it's so we don't waste time. That's one of my biggest pet
Totally.
peeves, for that I just do not like wasting time. And there's the quickening that's happening. I think a lot of people are starting to feel it now. The people that have woken up and have chosen a spiritual path, they can feel that quickening. And so I
Hmm.
don't feel it like a sense of urgency per se, but this bigger invitation to, again, be more intentional with my energy and the work it is that I'm doing and the time and energy and effort that I'm putting into things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So much about that intentionality and not just mindlessly doing things. It's questioning, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
From marketing campaign to a new hire, that
Mm,
intentionality and connecting in with your heart compass can give you a lot of really wise information about your business.
yeah. Yeah. The other
So,
aspect that I do want to touch on is the values that you embody.
mhm,
So there's the heart compass, and then it's what are the values that we want to embody. So that could be something like authenticity or integrity. When that new contract comes in from the partnership, you can look at that and say, is this a reflection of heart conscious leadership? Or is this the old business masculine model that I'm moving away from?
mhm.
And asking for an invitation for another conversation to reevaluate that contract. Now, I've created contracts where I know that if I ever ended up in court, they would just be like, is this a joke? Right? Because it's like, how do you want to feel? Well, I want to feel joy in my work, right? It's not these legal contracts, but these conscious contracts. But there could be some overlap. I even found a lawyer that's located in Ontario, Canada, and literally calls himself the conscious lawyer.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
freaking awesome.
Right. Right. Yeah. I don't know him or the company. I haven't worked with them, but just knowing that there's a conscious lawyer, knowing that that's their
Yeah.
intention, knowing that they're there to support people in the province of Ontario to, move forward more ethically,
Mm,
probably, right? More with more integrity, with more authenticity, to find like that beautiful blend between the legal masculine structure, which we all need, but then also those pieces that are going to feel really aligned. Yeah.
mhm. Absolutely. Wow. That's really interesting and very,
Mm-hmm.
very, oh, what would it be like? Not quite, it's heartwarming, but it's like encouraging to
Mm-hmm.
see these very traditional, um, careers and ways of doing things taking on more of a divine feminine characteristics, that having more flexibility and flow and compassion and, still, leadership,
Yeah.
still, leading the way, but having those more divine feminine values.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so heartening to hear that.
It's
Um,
hopeful. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So let's shift gears just a titch and talk about numerology, because
Mm.
both you and I are numerologists, and
Yeah.
we took our training through Megan Alton. And both of us are using numerology not just in our personal lives, but in our business and with our clients.
Mm-hmm.
So let's have a little conversation about how
Mm-hmm.
you're using numerology with your clients, and what does that have to do with leadership?
Mm. Absolutely. What's really cool about my journey is it's kind of funny. I laugh at myself. In 2020, I had to shift like many people. I was gathering workshops, retreats, circles, meeting people and client in person. And I moved to this online space. And I had said to somebody else that I was going to get clear on my abundance and develop sustainability, but really just like build a better relationship with abundance. And she invited me into Megan's world. Had no idea what I was saying yes to by any means. So I took this very masculine approach, that I was going to hire a new bookkeeper and download reports regularly and have dates with them. And I laugh because, again, it's very masculine. And it's not what I would ask my clients to do at all if they were going to build a relationship with abundance. And Megan introduced me to the energetics of numbers, which is another way to speak to the universe, another language that the universe speaks. And I immediately noticed that this was helping me collapse timelines in terms of supporting people to figure out who they are as a heart conscious leader. Because we're not all the same. Our leadership style is not all the same. It's not meant to be. And I was guiding people through processes that were taking, anywhere from a weekend to years, to be truthful. Like, I have clients that I started working with in 2015 and they're still my clients. And it's not that they're not getting it. It's just their growth and expansion just keeps happening through the work that we're doing. So, at the end of each year, we're like, so do you want to keep hanging out? Like, I really enjoy, our time together. And I feel that you're doing great and you're making progress. And so there's more yes, because we just keep learning and growing together. But my clients have also noticed, especially the ones that have been with me for so long, where numerology gave us this opportunity to validate what it is that they already knew. And for me, as somebody who's a psychic, who's an intuitive, who's a channeler, I was working with a lot of people and I would just know things, but it's really difficult to I just know.
Yeah.
How do you know?
How do you validate
Yeah.
that? Right?
I just want to know. I'm like, I just know. Like, if you develop a partnership and you learn to work with other people, it's going to be way better than you trying to do this on your own. And that's also why I don't call myself a coach, because I do have a tendency to make suggestions. I provide people with options and we go down that story, that path of like, okay, if you make this choice, then this is the potential outcome. And numerology, again, supports all of that. So we look at the person's personal energetic code and who it is that they are as a heart conscious leader. And then even more importantly, who are their soulmate clients based on that. So that way you can just authentically attract who it is that you're meant to be working with. And they're people that aren't going to energetically drain you. I know that, the spa industry is health and wellness as well. And people come in and dump their problems. I have another client. I have clients in the spa industry, but I have a client that's also like a hairdresser. And we're talking about this, how she's tired of it being this gossipy industry. She said, how do I shift that? Like, people are coming in and asking me personal questions like, so have you been busy? Has business been good? And she's like, I don't want to answer that. I want to talk about like what brought you joy today. And do you have any sacred relationships in your life? And what do they look like? Like, how did you create that? I want to have more meaningful, more conscious conversations. How do we shift that? And so understanding this heart conscious leadership, understanding our energetic code, who we're meant to work with, the energy is a match, the energy is aligned, the values are aligned, how we want to feel, like we're all in it for the same reasons and for the right reasons. And so there isn't any energetic drains, there isn't any leaks. There's this reciprocity that's happening where there's like this beautiful give and take harmonious relationship that's occurring, which leaves both people feeling phenomenal. Like even though you put in a full day work, you're walking away like one of the seven dwarfs, like just singing away, and you're like, man, that was a great day. I've made an impact. I've made a difference. I'm living my true purpose. I am being who it is that I am meant to be, regardless of like the work that you're doing.
Yeah.
And I really want to touch on that because I know that there are some people who are doing work, whether it's a business or whether it's a job, and for circumstances that are outside of their control, they might not want to do that anymore, but they have to. Like they still have to do it just to keep the roof over their head, to keep food on their table. And that might be misaligned, but there still can be this other layer of alignment that can occur in the conversations that you have. So, again, not that this client is like that, but if she's like, I don't want to be a hairdresser anymore. Okay, let's work towards that. But in the meantime, got to keep cutting hair. And the cool thing is you're in this industry where people are always going to need a haircut. So your gut, and we'll figure out how you're going to create different sources of income while you're building that out. Yeah.
I find, since I've been imbuing numerology into, my business and the business of my clients, it's almost, the visual I have is almost like pulling the curtain. It's like being in going to the Wizard of Oz and like pulling the curtain back and actually seeing how it all works. It's just a little guy back there pulling levers.
Yeah.
More of the message for me was like pulling back the curtain and just seeing, oh, it's not that hard to figure out using numerology. Then, everything else, why I'm in a relationship with certain people in my business start making sense.
Yeah.
And, why I behave a certain way in my business starts making sense. Why my business outcomes are happening a certain way makes sense based on the actions and the thinking that I've been creating. So it's such an interesting, fascinating, useful, and simple tool to peek behind the curtain for all those like, why can't I seem to be able to do X? Or why do I seem to always hire people who blah, 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 and it never works out? Using numerology and understanding your own code and the code of the people that you work with even reveals a huge amount of information that allows you to get to the heart of the matter, not the extra bullshit of, she's doing this or da 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 da. It's like, let's get down to the heart of the matter. Are we, and as far as a team or a client, are we just a good match? Are we not a good match that way?
It also helps. I love that you're saying that, and I know you'll agree. It also helps us see our blind spots, right? So we know that, like, I can see this if somebody has a lot of 5 energy in their chart, or that 10 energy coupled with 5, they're an agent of change. And they are moving at lightning speed, and not everybody around them is at the same pace. And so they can leave people feeling used, manipulated, left behind, taken advantage of, because they're just so used to change. And everybody else is like, I just got caught up to the last thing that we did. And so that's important to note that. And how can you keep moving forward in a way that's very heart conscious as a leader, and keep building these groups of people and these teams of people that are going to align and support you with that. And so that way everybody's feeling exactly how you intended for them to feel. Right.
Yeah. It is really hard to see our blind spots. Kind of our conscious mind isn't quite set up to be, you've got some outcomes and you're like, why is this happening? So I think it gives us that ability to just see it for what it is. It's not a bad thing, It's just these are the high vibrations of
Yeah.
the number, and this is the low vibration. And I just happen to be in the low vibration for whatever reason. But having
Mm-hmm.
that awareness of the blind spot, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, once you know, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
if you know and you choose not to do anything about it, then that's your
Mm-hmm.
choice. It's not
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know why it's happening.
Yeah. And then it also, numerology also supports us to decide. This is what I
Absolutely.
love about it. I have like 7 energy. I'm a 7 of clubs. And so sometimes deciding is difficult for me because I have so many ideas because of my 3 energy. And also, I'm calling in people with lots of 1. And so, ideas is not our problem. Creativity is not our problem, but deciding. So, looking at the energetics that are coming through in somebody's personal energy forecast and also in the universe, like the universal energies that are coming through, we can look at those ideas, look at those creative projects, and then make the connection of this one makes sense. This is what the universe and your code is saying to move forward with.
Yeah.
This is what makes sense. And so decisions become extremely easy and confidence expands because you know that this decision is a co collaboration with the universe.
Mhm.
Or take it a step further, you start to realize that you're your creator, you're an expression of oneness, and that's like the highest level of consciousness that you can be at. So you're either in this like co-creation space, or you're accepting that you're an extension of creator, and you're coming from that powerful place, and it helps you take all of your power back to accept the shadows, to accept the gifts that you are here to express in the world, just to embrace all of it.
Mhm. And what I also love about numerology is that it's simple,
Yeah,
so
me too.
simple. All you need to know, you don't have to be a certified numerologist to actually use numerology in your life, in your business. I think I followed Megan Alton, probably about 3 years before I signed up for um, practical numerology. That's the first level of
Mm-hmm.
certification. And I actually used it in my personal life because I'd gone through a lot of trauma in 2020. And, trauma disconnects you
Yeah.
from people and yourself, and you feel very alone. And I was also felt very disconnected from my tools, my
Mm-hmm.
emotional tools. So I used it personally to kind of guide my way out of a really sad place. And that's where I really was like, whoa, there's really something to this. This is very powerful. It was simple enough that I could, keep track of,
Mm-hmm.
as long as I understood the numbers 1 to
Yeah.
9, I understood the energetics of what was happening
Yeah.
universally for all of us and for myself personally, and was able to kind of basically walk myself out of that, a large
Mm-hmm.
part due to numerology. Um, but what I realized as I was healing, how powerful that is, numerology is for business. And that's when I recognize, I'm like, I would love to use this and layer it up on top
Mm-hmm.
of leadership, how spas are selling, how they're attracting clients into their business. But yeah, I just love the simplicity of it. It's, there's lots of, there's Myers-Briggs, and there's, all sorts of other kind of personality testing modalities out there.
I've
But
done them all, by the way. I was in
yeah,
corporate team building
yeah,
for over a decade, and I feel like I've done them all. I even did a personality test where the organization was like, we had to go and choose what dog breed we thought everybody on the team
wow,
represented, and you put it in their envelope, and then you would get this feedback, and you had to make a poster board of it and present it to everybody in the room. Like, I'm serious. I feel like I've done them all.
yeah,
So when I say I love numerology and these are the reasons why, I do feel it's because I have tested all the other systems out, and I can't agree with you more in terms of its simplicity. And I know you love it too because it's mathematical, it's scientific, and it's ancient. Like, we're talking thousands of years that we have understood the predictive energies of
hmm
the planet and of ourselves.
hmm yeah. It's so fascinating. It's so
Mm-hmm.
fascinating, and so interesting that more people that we're seeing more groups of people like yourself and what the groups that you've, created, like the Conscious Business Collective, of,
Mm-hmm.
groups of people coming together and working together on the energetics of their business,
Mm-hmm.
like using it in very practical, tactical ways. But
Yep.
it's like the connection to that, heart conscious leadership, and then
Yep.
the actions
Mm-hmm.
you kind of want to take, and
Mm-hmm.
how, how are you going to get there as far as a
Yeah.
heart-centered leader.
The conscious business plan and the soulful strategy that is built out is an extension of the person as a heart conscious leader. It's
Absolutely.
all connected because it all has a consciousness that's connected. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Whether you're looking at your own code or the code of your team or even your family. Like I think when
Mm-hmm.
I was first in practical numerology with Megan Alton, the first things I was doing was, figuring out the codes of my partner and my
Mm-hmm.
kids and all that kind of stuff. And it started really helping me to understand my family better in a lot
Yeah.
of ways.
Yeah.
But using it in terms of your business is literally like decoding it.
Mm-hmm.
Makes it
There's
so
a
much.
cosmic conscious blueprint for our business that's also written in the stars, and it's easy to tap into and figure out. It doesn't have to be, because spiritual entrepreneurs, we wear all of the hats.
Yeah,
And so that's challenging in itself. So anything that we can do to create more ease and momentum, that's going to help us connect to prosperity, because the more we have, the more we can give. Why not? Why wouldn't we want to do that? Yeah.
absolutely. So,
Yeah.
Emery, where can our audience find you? You
Anne Marie
want
McKenzie.
Emery?
AnneMarieMcKenzie.com. I have purchased all the incorrect ways to spell my name to all those domains. So you can spell my name wrong and it will hopefully still take you to my website. And there's multiple ways that we can connect. As Kirsten said at the beginning of this call, she's a part of my Conscious Business Collective. So we get together on a monthly basis and just talk about the energy that's coming through and literally build out strategies to align with it in our life and our business, and support each other, empower each other, really cheer each other on. That's probably the easiest and my favorite ways to have people come into my world. Yeah.
And you also have Conscious Business Immersion, which is more like it's the collective, it's the group as well as one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a variety of other offers that are very
Yeah.
soulful, entrepreneur
Mm-hmm.
focused.
I love helping people build those strong foundational pieces in their business. So that way it makes it easier to hire a team, attract their clients, to
Do your
you know,
marketing.
exactly.
All of
All of the foundational pieces that we often skip over. And obviously heart conscious leadership and really accessing the intelligence of their heart is that first step in all of it. And numerology is this beautiful benefit that we get access to, so it's not so difficult. It's not so difficult to build out that business plan. If you have lots of 2 energy, one of your top values is connection.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
we're going to weave that in there, and yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you
Mm-hmm.
so much for joining me for the Spa Business Mastery podcast and sharing your knowledge. And I love just like diving into this conversation anytime I
Me
can
too.
get, especially with you. Thank you so much.
Me too. Thanks, Kristen.